Hello, everybody. This is your host here. Welcome to Desiree. Welcome to the show Entrepreneurs Faith Vision. Tonight, I have a very special guest all the way from Omaha, Nebraska. We are actually located, so we are a nonprofit called Small and Anointed, and we are also based in Omaha.
Okay.
So what we do, we actually encourage those Christian entrepreneurs by connecting them with business experts, such as my guest. Um, and we want them to have a voice in the community. That's our purpose. That's the mission that the Lord has laid upon my heart.
Hmm.
So tonight, without any further ado, I want her to introduce herself, because she has an extensive knowledge, business knowledge. She is the director of the Nebraska Enterprise Fund. She runs her own nonprofit. So tonight, um, um, let me put Miss BC on the screen here. Hello, Miss BC. How are
Hi there.
you?
I'm excellent. Thank you.
Great. Well, like I told the audience earlier, you are going to introduce yourself because I
Okay.
mean, you work for Conagra. You work for many years. So you were a manager at the IT department in the IT
Yes.
department. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd be happy to. And welcome and thank you everyone for being on this broadcast. Well, I was at Conagra Foods for almost 28 years and as an IT manager, and that was all fantastic and great. But you have callings on your life. You have those seasons in your life where you're being called out, and so I think around 2008 I started the Metro Omaha Women's Business Center, and I was already retired. And I tell you what, it was something that had been pulling at me for a long time. So that's president of that organization, president and founder of the Metro Omaha Women's Business Center. I started my own business in 2003. It's called The Business Connection, and I do interviews of businesses across the state. And then I'm also director of training and client development for the Nebraska Enterprise Fund. So enough about that. So let's get to those questions. But I'm really excited to be able to impart whatever it is that I could today on this broadcast.
So you said one thing that you did not mention. I think you have to tell the audience that you were actually featured on Forbes magazine.
No, not
Oh,
Forbes. Uh, Metro magazine, I think, or one of
was
those.
it Metro? Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
think it was
you
Metro
know
Mag.
what?
One of
While I
those.
was searching, under your name, like I searched for BC Clark in Omaha. So it appears that they use one of your quotes.
Oh,
And
probably.
they did use so I was reading on the top Forbes magazine, and I said, "Oh my God, this lady is well known all around the country." Hey, Miss BC, that's okay. Just claim it by faith. You
Oh,
will be known. You will
I'm
be known
pulling it
all
in.
over the country and internationally. Okay,
I'm
okay.
I'm pulling it in. I'm pulling it in right now.
Yes, yes. So basically, they were. It looks like they were asking you about, black women not getting any financing.
Oh, yes, yes. I
You
I,
know, the
I
lack
want to.
of financing for
Yes,
black-owned businesses.
yes. I
So,
do remember that interview, but it
okay,
wasn't for it wasn't Forbes. It was a different magazine, though.
it was a different magazine.
Yeah,
Okay, so maybe they use your quote. Maybe I mean they use what you said because
yeah.
you did say really well. So tell us a little bit about that, because you work with many types of businesses. You work
Hmm.
with women, and you actually said that you are an advocate for women. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that.
Well, I think the thing that I really want to get out and was kind of tugging at my heart was that a lot of women, when I started my business, there was a lot of women that were out there trying to start. And this was back in, a while back, 2003. And, what I realized is that a lot of the women didn't have a lot of the things that connect them to
Mm-hmm.
keep going. They would have, maybe they would do this and then they would get frustrated in the process. And I kept thinking that if we all kind of pulled our resources together, that if we all could share the things that we had been through, if we'd already started our businesses, that would help them be a little further. And so I thought when I started MOWBC that we could pool all the resources together. And so someone who started out as an entrepreneur, a female, then we could help them along the way. And that's kind of how it all got started. But we do kind of help on with that by giving a grant every year to those emerging women entrepreneurs. And it's a startup. It's a startup grant, so it's like anywhere from $500 to $1,500. But that was one thing that kept tugging is that if we have to be on the same playing field. I'm a score counselor, and I remember as I was doing a lot of counseling that the men would come in and they would have a whole complete support network, whereas a
Mm,
lot of the women would come in and we wouldn't have that network. And that's why it was so something that was just saying we need to have a network, and of course, like I said, when I collected all of the data and started in 2008 and launched it, um, there was a wealth of people that really women that just started coming. I mean, we'd have 50 and 60 some people that would come to every month. And so you knew there was a need, but we would bring in resources. We would bring in, great speakers that would help them get to certain places. We would, and PTAC was one of the organizations that supported us, and they were there every month, and so they were connecting individuals with how to do business with the government. We had the city of Omaha and their tier one, tier two program. They would be there, and so it started. Kind of like a movement, and
mm.
and it went on. So it's been almost 12 years that we have been in business, and we're still bringing workshops to women. We're still doing the grants every year, and still getting the information out. So I think it's just something that I feel is really important. So I
Definitely.
really like working with women, especially if they're just getting started and there's a lot of questions. I want to make
Yes.
sure that I can answer those questions and make sure that they can get to where they need to go. Leveling up is always so important,
Yes.
and a lot of times if you don't have that information, you can't level up. So if you have someone you can go to, if you know about a workshop or class or something that you can attend, then this, because information is what breeds success. If you don't have the information, usually you can't go. And, the thing that they've always said is that the more you know, the more you grow. That's such a true statement. I mean, it really is. And
That's true.
so whoever, came up with that, that's just a phenomenal thing. But
That's
in the
true.
thing that I've noticed too, Desiree, is that a lot of us as women, we are afraid a lot of times. So fear stops us from doing a lot of things, right? And so I always, my thing about fear is, you're either gonna face everything and run or face everything and rise. And you have to decide which one you're going to do because we
Yes.
know that fear is just a smokescreen anyway. So, and the only way to get through it is to do it, period. And so, those are the things that I kind of, that's what I shoot for. Even if it's your credit score or whatever, if you don't know what's on it, then let's find out what's on it. Because once you find out what's on it, now you can find out what you need to do, right? So fear is just something that stops you from getting to where you need to go.
Yep. This is very true, Miss BC. This is very true. When I was reading this article, so they were saying in there that the women actually build a businesses or create a business or have an idea about creating a business. So that they have it's okay. They have that idea of creating a business out of frustration. So frustration is also one thing that really keeps us away from, developing ourselves, increasing ourselves. So fear,
Yeah,
frustration. But the thing is, if you know how to deal with it, it becomes a power. It becomes really powerful in your life.
I think
What
that
what
once
what
you
do you what do you say about that?
No, I agree. I think that anything that's keeping you from where you're trying to go, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
hindrance is, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't face it and go through that, then you'll always be stuck, right? You'll always be trying to, and then people too, sometimes you have to keep things to yourself until you get to a certain point where you're confident enough to believe in what you see and what you
Yeah.
want to do. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, even when we tell our families what happens, they say, oh, you don't want to do that. Oh, you're crazy to want to do that. But Why? It wasn't something that was given to them, it was given to you. So
Mm,
you're the one who will be responsible for carrying that on. So
mm.
therefore, sometimes, we share things with people, and I'm not going to say it's jealousy, but it could be. But whatever it is, if they discourage you, that's not someone you want to have in your tribe, right?
Yes,
You want to
yes,
have positive people around you. So you have to know who you should be around. Select your tribe carefully. Make sure it's someone that you can trust, the one who is going to, you'll be accountable for. Um, someone that really cares about where you're going. And that would be someone else who maybe has already started a job, who understands what you're trying to do and wants to be, not only a cheerleader for you, but a coach or mentor that can help you get going. But don't be, don't allow things that you can do things about stop you from getting where you're trying to go. Because
yes.
the thing I'll say is that, in our life, we have a calling. There's a calling on our life, right?
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
when I think about that call, um, I always refer when, Jesus tell us to take care of his people, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so if we have a call and he's given us specific talents and abilities, and we're not using those to serve his people, because it's not about us, right? Those talents and abilities that we have, they are for a purpose. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you're not sure what your purpose is, this is a time that you would need to stop, look, and begin to search within yourself. What is my purpose? Where am I trying to go? Because one thing I found out that when you don't know your purpose, what happens? You make decisions that's not even based on where you should be. You
Mm.
make different decisions. And so when I think about the power of purpose, and when I think about that, it gives you confidence when you find out, when you finally find out who you are. There's a class that I have, and it is called The Power of Purpose. And the very first thing that it says is that there are two most important days in your life. What do you think they are?
When you are born and when you die, right?
No, no, because when you die is irrelevant. It's when you're born
Oh, okay.
and when you find out why,
Your purpose. Yes, it's true. It's true.
right?
That's true. Yes.
Because once you're dead, it's nothing, nothing can happen. So it's
That's true.
irrelevant,
That's true.
So those are the
That's
two
true.
important days: the day you were born and the day you find out why. And
That's true.
sometimes that doesn't happen like right away. It doesn't may not happen when you're 15. Now, some people it does happen really early. They know, they just they know it. They know this is what they're going to do. They'll say it when they're 5, and at 50 they're still doing what they said that they would do. So, but that doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes we have to go through things to get to where God wants us to be, and a lot of times that character building, those struggles, those failures and things that we're walking through, going through life, is all designed to build us the way He wants us to be for that place where He's sending us, so we can
Mm.
serve His people. And so I think a lot of times we usually will get stammered. We'll say, "Oh, I just can't do this. I'm a failure. I this whatever." And we sometimes you just have to kind of talk to yourself in the mirror. The woman in the mirror. You have to talk to that woman, talk to that inner person. Who am I? Right? What are the things I really like to do? And in that class that I teach on power of purpose, we walk through some of that stuff. Like, what did you really like doing when you were, a kid, And it's amazing because there's 25 things that they can list out. I mean,
Mm.
people just start writing. When they start writing, they just start coming up with so much stuff. But again, it's really hard to. I know people that'll be on a job for 25 years and all of a sudden they're laid off and they'll say, I can't believe they laid me off. But there had to be something that was happening before
Mm.
that because we have signs, right? When
That's
those
true.
seasons, in our lives change, and if we're not alert and are prepared, then we'll stay there because it's comfortable. But
Mm.
being comfortable doesn't grant you anything other than you're stuck there and you're afraid to move. Being
So,
comfortable, you can never get to where you're trying to go,
so
right?
Miss BC, how can you get out of your comfort zone?
Oh,
As a woman, how
mhm.
can we get out of our comfort zone? I know you said earlier, talk to yourself, talk to that inner person, you know, pray. Of course, pray.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pray about it. Fast, meditate the word,
Yeah.
of
Ask
course.
God. Yes.
But ask God. But how can you really get? Because sometimes you want to do. Everybody dreams about being great
Hmm.
in their lives.
Right.
Everybody dreams about that. So how can you get to that level
Where
where go ahead.
you're not afraid to just make moves.
Yes,
You
where you're
know,
not afraid to make moves. Yes.
hmm And I think that it does. Again, I'll go back to, you know, the things that happen, the seasons in our lives. And believe me, we have seasons and they do
Mm-hmm.
change.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times what happens is that, you know, we'll get all kinds of signs. You heard the story of the man in the boat, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there was a flood and, he kept getting higher and higher, but the flood, kept, it took him over. And finally, when he got to heaven, he said, why didn't you come to save me? He said, I sent a boat, sent a helicopter. You didn't take any of the things. You were waiting on me. We have to move. I mean, he has given us everything we need to go and get whatever it is that we have that we're trying to get out there. And if we're not moving in that direction, if we're not going out there and getting those things, then that's on us because he's not going to come down here and say, oh, you need to go here next, right? That's not going to happen. You have everything within you, and you just have to believe. You have to believe in you. That understanding your purpose builds confidence in you. It helps you to be able to pivot when you know something is not going right. If something looks strange, every person that I've ever talked to when I talk about this, and they'll say, well, I was there for 15 years and nothing ever happened. But if you talk to them long enough, you'll find out that something happened like 2 or 3 years earlier, like
Mm.
things began to change and maybe they switched, maybe a different manager came in, maybe there was some things that happened in the job where they were reevaluating things, and maybe some people got laid off and maybe you weren't in that one, but you see what I'm saying. You have to start thinking like, okay, and you can follow things. You can follow when something is changing, and
Mm.
you have to be on guard too, and alert. You can't just say, oh, I'm great right here, I'm not going to move. There are people that would tell me, well, I had this job offer, but I kept thinking, no, I don't want to leave because I really like where I am and it's comfortable. But then when you really talk to them, they'll say, I don't like my boss. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. I'm
Yep.
like, well, why didn't you leave? You know, when you had that opportunity. So opportunity does come, and opportunity knocks all the time. I don't care what
Mm.
people say, it knocks all the time. Sometimes it's small taps and sometimes it's large knocks. So you know that it's there. But you have to be alert to hear even the small taps because sometimes those small taps are more lucrative than the loud knocks, right? So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to be able to. When are you going to trust not only yourself, but when are you going to trust God? Because He said that He's our provider, right? He is our
Yes.
provider. He is El Shaddai, so he's more than enough. I mean, He's there for us. He's there to do all the things that to guide us. When are we going to take that step and say, you know what, this is what I need to do? I need to just put myself here, really, really start digging into me and understanding what it is that God wants me to do. And
Amen.
it's not that you have to, being, I mean, everything is not spiritual, right? I mean, it is, right? But it isn't. What I'm saying is that, when it comes to jobs and things like that, well, we're not going to do a Holy Ghost dance, right? You know what I'm saying? We're not going to do a Holy Ghost dance
Mm-hmm.
to get a job.
No.
We're gonna apply. We're gonna do the things we need to do because if we make the first step, He'll make two. I mean, that's what it says. You make the first step, I'll make two steps. We need
Yeah.
to be able to believe, and I believe that a lot of times if we would take the opportunity and write down things, vision boards and things like that, that can give you such strength, such opportunity. With my children and when they were younger, we would write on 5x7 cards and we would put on the things that we wanted. Each of us would put on we call it our God list. We put scriptures on it, and those are things that we were saying that we wanted. And I will tell you, it wouldn't be long before we realized that those cards were coming down. Because I believe if you write it and you see it,
Mm.
it allows you to believe it.
Leave
And
it.
when you believe it, you can achieve and receive what you're looking for. And
Mm.
so, what I would say to women is that, we are strong, we are amazing women, we're amazing people. I mean, we are caretakers, right? And if we don't believe in ourselves, I mean, you have to. You believe in everything else that you're doing for other people. Why not believe in yourself,
Mm.
right? I mean, it's a time for us to stop wanting people to, kind of hand down to us. It's a time for us to really begin to stand. We need to rise and take ownership of what's ours. And
Yes.
if that's starting a business, if it's going to school to further your career, whatever that is, we have to get started. We need to just do it and not worry about it.
Just do it.
Just do
Yes.
it. You know,
Yes.
there's so many young women that have started fantastic businesses. They're growing. They have multiple businesses going on. They're serial entrepreneurs, and that's a spirit because entrepreneurship is a spirit. I'm telling you, and I'm telling
Mm.
you, it can move you. It can things can happen, but you got to be able to look at things, decide how you want to do these things, list out things that you want to do. Do you have like a to-do list, right? And a to-do list. I mean, some people say, oh, why do that when I'm going to the grocery store? Well, why not do it in your career? Why not do it if you want to
Mm.
start a business? Why not do that when you're trying to get things done? The best thing you can do is lay things out on paper so you can
Mm.
see it. So you can see it. And I have lots of individuals that will come and they want to start a business. And, sometimes it's brainstorming, sometimes, but it's a process. You can't just say, I'm going to start a business because I don't like who I'm working for. No, that's not a reason to start a business.
There you
You
go.
know,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
you don't want to start a business like that. But if it's
Okay.
something that you've always wanted to do, and maybe it's your side hustle right now, and you're saying, you know what, I'm doing really good at this side hustle. Hmm. And you let that work. I call it cook it for a minute. Let it cook and
Absolutely.
see how it grows. And then next in 3 months, you might say, well, you know what, I've made as much in these 3 months doing this side hustle. I think it might be time for me to maybe go part time at my job and then work,
Mm.
do part time on both. There's a process, but you need to plan and you need to plan and plan and do more planning, right? I mean, that's what this is all about. If we don't plan, then we don't expect to do anything. We don't expect to go anywhere. I mean, that's the bottom line. So we have to be able to put things in perspective and be able
Yeah.
to move in that direction.
Miss Missy, another question for you.
Hmm.
My other question, and then you actually talked about it. You touched it. You mentioned it earlier, and it's about those side projects, those
Hmm.
side gigs, those
Side
side
hustle.
hustles that
Yeah.
we like to call them. So how
Yeah.
do you know? So how to know when to give up or just keep going with a
Mhm.
side project or a side hustle? You
Well,
started it and then you invested a lot because you invest your time, you
yes.
invest your money, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
So
And
how
you,
do
but you,
you know when to move forward with it? How do you
well,
know if you have to keep it or just drop it, basically?
you'll, find out if it's not a hobby, and is it something viable that you can make money off of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't want to just say, okay, I've been doing this for like 6 months and I've made some money and I think I'm gonna quit my job. If it's not equaling what you're paying or you're getting more than what you're being paid for that full-time job, then
Mm-hmm.
it's not a time to leave, right?
Mm.
You need to wait. Now, I'm working with an individual who started a side hustle a year and a half ago. And what she's found out is that um, for the first year that she was in, because she was doing it probably about 6 months or so before she really got serious about it. So really, when you look at it, she was really doing it for about 2 years.
Mm.
When she came to me, she said, I really think I can make this work as a business. She said, I really want this to work. And I worked with her for like 3 months. And what we were doing is measuring. We were looking at her financials. We were looking at things that, she was bringing to the table, her
Mm.
additional resources that she had. And about 6 months after that, um, she actually launched, but she went part-time first on her job and she was able to spend more time on the side hustle. So it's a process. You don't want to jump and do things so quick. It's just like scaling a business. You don't want to. There's certain times that that needs to happen. It doesn't necessarily need to happen when you first go into business. That doesn't make any sense. But
No.
if you want to grow that business, and say you've been in business for 3, 5 years, things are steady, you see your sales are continually going up. That might be a time for you to look at scaling. But back to the side hustle. So all in all, about 2.5 years in, she realized that she could make better money at that side hustle than she was making at this full time job. And so now she's actually in business. And so that's the things that I think that people kind of get frustrated with. They want everything to happen overnight. And sometimes, if you really want to do this, take the time, plan it out, make sure your financials are in order. You understand these financials, you understand all the hats that you're going to wear as a business owner. And then begin to plan to make that happen. So do a business plan, get your business plan together, start working on that. Remember, that's a live document. So you can even, while you're doing your side hustle, be working on that business plan. Um,
Mm.
and remember, that business plan is in the event that if you would have to go and get money, the first thing that a lender is going to ask you is for your business plan, your financials, your taxes. Those are just standard things that you're going to have, especially if you're going to be looking for startup capital. And so I would say you want to plan if this is something that you really want to do, and you're making money at it, and it seems like that money is continually growing, and you've been in it for over a year, and you've seen, you know, I would say a considerable amount of money that you've gotten from that. And
Hmm.
and and what she was doing was she wasn't really touching the side hustle money. She was only using her money from her full time job, and so she was able to save quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
And so which is it's great. So to have a plan when you're thinking about going from your side hustle to a full-time business, you want to make sure you take those steps and get them done right. Okay? So that you can make sure that you're on point and on top, and you don't rush into anything. You don't need to
Mm.
rush. Keep the money flowing from the full time, because that is going to continue to be there, for the time, at least while you're going. And I always tell people, if you're going to start a business, that's not the time to quit your job if you have no other income.
I,
So,
I definitely agree with you. I couldn't even agree more. That's true.
mhm,
I don't think it's good to leave your job when
no,
you are just starting a small side hustle. That's
right.
not.
That's not, no, because you have to take a lot of things into consideration. Because
Yes.
if that full time job is paying all your expenses,
Yes.
then you need to wait until you're making enough money in that side hustle, side by side, along with your full time, making sure in that side hustle it's bringing, whatever money you're getting out of that full time. If it's bringing
Yes.
you that much and more, then you can look at, okay, I'm going to work 3 more months so I can put some more savings back, and then I'll put in my 2 weeks notice. I mean, you want to do it in a methodical manner that you're controlling everything as you're going along, and that way you don't feel frustrated if something don't go quite right.
So, Miss BC, so I saw that you guys are having a class on October 26th, through the Nebraska Enterprise Funds. I think you
Mm-hmm.
are
Mm-hmm.
okay. And it says, I mean, its title is Owning a Business a Good Fit for You. Can you give us a little insight
Mm-hmm.
about that? What is it all about?
Yeah. So a lot of and what we're trying to do is sometimes individuals think that they really, this is what I want to do. I want to start a business, but a lot of times they haven't thought things out or went through everything. So that class, it allows them to see some examples, to hear all about the different hats. It allows them to think through the financials and things like that. And believe it or not, some individuals have taken that class and have said, I'm not ready yet. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So that's why, I mean, and this will be a good for anyone who's thinking of going into business. That's an excellent class to take. It'll give you so much insight, things that you hadn't thought about. And that's the key. You want to get as much information as you can before you start a business, so that you know where you are and what you're doing. And that's
mm.
really important. So I
Uh,
would say that's a good one.
so is it free or you have to
Oh
pay
yes.
for
Oh
it?
no, 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 no. It's free. All of the
And
workshops.
it's every workshop
Yes.
is free. And this one will be online or
Yeah,
you
it's
have
online.
to okay.
So all of those are online. Now we do have a business planning class. I don't know if you saw that on October 26th as well. So we have three parts to the business plan. There's a business planning workshop or Zoom class. It's an hour, and it talks about the gathering of data, if you're going to go into business. So that's business planning one. And then the second part of that is where we actually start to talk about that business plan and the different components and what
Mhm.
goes in there. So we have a template that helps them to understand that business plan and how it works. And then the third one in that series is write your business plan in 4 hours. And so um, I just had one in August, and if you go through all three of the first two classes, then you're really ready to write your business plan. So when you come to the class, and that's a physical class. The first two are on Zoom, but the third one where you actually write it, you come into the location. We have the
Yes,
laptops
the
already
laptops.
there, right?
Mhm.
And we have them loaded with the software on it. So you come in, you have your template, and now you're just adding your data into those plans. And we also provide like a thumb drive for them to save it, their PDF onto that thumb drive, and then they're able to print their business plan out. But they have a business plan, and some people would say, "I didn't think it could be, this easy." But once they've had both, the two classes, they totally understood how to write out that business plan. And for some reason, a lot of individuals think that it's really hard to write a business plan, but you just if you've collected all the data, then you're just actually entering that data into your template.
So I feel like every startup needs a business coach. So what do you think about that, Miss Busy? Because
Well,
usually there are actually four phases for um that what I'm trying to say is there are four phases of entrepreneurship.
hmm
So the first one is the idea generation. So you think about something.
hmm
So do you think that at what level do you really need a businessman or a business mentor, a business coach?
you know,
When do you need it?
well, I think that I would just say this: it really depends on how much you already know and what you plan to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of individuals, they have that idea, and while they're going through that phase of trying to figure out if it's something viable, if it is
Mm-hmm.
this going to work, and when they get all of that data collected, and they say, okay, this is a good concept. Now, is it viable for a business? So I
Yes.
would say that, and we have so many resources here in Nebraska, in Omaha, actually. So that doesn't cost anything. So you can walk into, and right now our offices are closed, so we're doing everything from home. But you can call. We have where you can call and ask us any questions. We can mentor you on Zoom, and we're doing a lot of that. So individuals who are expecting or wanting to start a business, they'll call up and they'll say, I just need some help in getting started. So we mentor and coach those individuals, and sometimes that's in the beginning phase, and
Right.
we do
Right.
brainstorming and everything. So I would say it depends on what you know and what you want to do, and how fast you want to get going. Which I think that it's a process. You still need to take time to collect your data and making sure that you know that it is a viable, because you have to verify, is this a viable, is it just a hobby that I'll be doing, or
Yeah.
is it going to be a business? And
Yeah.
and is it viable? We want to make sure it's viable business. We want to start something, and we go to the bank for a loan. They say, well, no one really uses this
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure. So I would say it doesn't so much matter. You do have to collect data. You do need to understand, but some people don't understand how to collect that data. So if
Mm-mm.
they don't, then I would say it's when the idea comes to you, you want to work with someone to find out if is it viable, what things do I need to do to make things happen. And so I mean, by the time you get to that second and third phase, you should have a team of people with you. I call it a tribe, and not that a team that you got to pay, but people that you trust and other people that may be in the same
Mm-hmm.
industry that that you can
Mm-hmm.
glean information from, that you can listen at their input, and begin to see this thing come to life.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay a lot of money when you're trying to get started with something. We have SCORE. Um, we have the SBA, and the SBA is there. I mean, they have workshops as well. So there's so many resources, right? And so when I think about when do you need a mentor, it depends on what you're needing, and it depending on what that business is, and it just depends on a lot of things. When you're first getting started, if you don't know where to go, and I would think that'd be the first time that you would want
Mm-hmm.
to go and sit and talk to someone. And
Mm,
don't be afraid to talk to bankers, because the one thing that we've realized is that a lot of our community doesn't they don't have like a relationship with bankers.
mm,
And it's not that you have to go to a bank for a loan, but they have good information. So if you're like thinking in another year or so that you want to start a business, you could go to a banker, sit down with one of the bankers and say, I'm thinking of starting a business in the next year. Um, can you give me some advice? And they will lay out some advice for you. And they'll probably refer you um, to, Nebraska Enterprise Fund or SCORE to get some additional information, because, they won't, that's not really what they'll do, but they'll definitely have information for you. So,
mm.
and you want to have that relationship before you actually need to go there to borrow money, right? Um,
Right.
we noticed with the pandemic that there were a lot of individuals that when the PPP first came out, they weren't able to um, take that opportunity because they didn't have relationships or didn't have even banking, uh, a bank account and stuff. And so they weren't able, and the banks weren't doing it if you didn't have an account with them. And then, of course, the second round, the banks understood that they could open up an account and they'd be able to do that. But I mean, you want to be prepared. So,
Mm,
gain the knowledge you need, get the information you need so that you are on top of what you're trying to do and you can make things happen. And if things are not going in that way, that you'll be able to pivot and go the opposite direction. You need to be able to be prepared to do the things you need to do. So take the time and get the information you need so that you can be successful at every step of your way.
that's well said. That is really well said, Miss BC. And I think a question that every one of us as entrepreneurs have is how and I know you talked about it. I know you
That's
really
fine.
talked about it, but I have to ask you again.
Okay.
How do you grow How do you grow a business? It's a very simple question, but
Mm-hmm.
really, because you feel like you're trying everything. And I know I have some entrepreneurs out there, they have tried everything. They work on the business, after the day job.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they invest in it. I don't know, everything imaginable that you can think of, they've done it. They
They've
feel
done
like
it.
they've done it. They pray about it. um they
I
have
would
borrowed
think,
money to a loved one, to a close
yeah.
friend, to be able to
Hmm.
get it going. So really,
How do
Miss
you
BC, help us
grow?
out. How do you
I
grow a
think
business?
I think that this is, and we're talking about scaling a business now, but
Scaling a business,
where
yes.
where are I mean, there's so many things to look at, right? Because if you are at a point where you've been in business 3 4 years and the sales are continually going up, so now what do you want to do with the business? I mean, are you wanting to expand particular products or services? Are you trying to uh, get a physical building?
Yes.
What
Mm,
does that look like? So
like,
we
yes.
need to start setting some goals so that you do have something that you're working towards the whole time that you're in
Mm,
business, right? I always say, when you do your business plan, let's not just do it for 3 years or 5 years, but what is that
mm-hmm,
10-year, what does that 15-year goal look like? And it should be
mm,
on the plan right now, because in 5 years, if you don't have anything past that, the business is right there, and all of a sudden your sales start, you know, going flatline.
going for,
Um,
yeah.
right. And so what you want to do is continually be looking at what things you can do different. How can I change? What are the trends? Things are
Mm,
changing all the time. And if
mm,
we're not changing with those times, then our business is being left behind.
mm.
And so pretty soon you see someone else comes in and all of a sudden now they've gotten a lot of that market share. You know, the one thing I noticed about CVS and Walgreens could be on this corner, and CVS will always try to get on the corner across from Walgreens. But I never see CVS take over the market share that Walgreens has.
It's true.
you
Very
know,
true.
so I think that you need to, and this requires, when you're talking about scaling, this requires, um, you need staff. You need to know what you want to do. It takes planning. It takes planning. And if you don't know how to do that, you're saying, I want to expand my business, but how do you want to expand it? What does that mean to you when you say, I want to expand my business? It's not growing. What does that mean? And how do I want to grow it? So if I
Mm,
haven't written down some of those things, I haven't looked at some trends, I hadn't added additional products. I'm not, um, putting on additional services. I'm not hiring new people. I mean, how do you want to grow? And I would say
Mm,
that's a prime time that you'd want to sit down with a business coach, someone you can brainstorm with who have some ideas for you. You know,
mm,
that you can, because you'll start talking, you'll talk to someone and they'll be bringing up things and you'll be saying, wow, I didn't even think about that. That happens all the time. um, when people are saying I'm just not, it's not growing like I want to. Well, they haven't thought about a lot of things because they've spent too much time in trying to say it's not growing. But we have to lay out why it's not growing, what parts are not growing. Do we need to move some stuff around, take some things away, and grow the parts that we see that we want to go to? So it's a lot of things,
a
I
lot of
mean,
things.
yes, and we have to take time and understand those things to make sure that we're moving in the right direction and we're doing it at the right time. Because
Mm,
it's, just because you feel like you need to grow it right now, that may not be the best time to grow it. So that would be a key time, I would definitely say, especially if you're getting frustrated in the process and if you're not brainstorming or bringing some new ideas to the table. That might be a good time that you want to sit with a business coach or even a mentor to just say,
mm.
hey, I'm not sure what I want to do, but here's my business plan. And you have to know how you want to grow that, how you want to expand it. Yeah, you want more customers to come in, but what do you want to do in order to get them in? What things are you thinking that you need to add or take away or change, right?
This is true. It's true. I mean, you said it all. I don't have anything to add. This is so true. I think I need to come and see you, Miss BC. So, and I'm coming to you. I will be. I will sign up for that class definitely.
Okay.
I will
All right.
sign up.
And yeah,
Will you be the one teaching the class now?
I can't remember. There's so many on the this, but I tell you what, go to our website and there's
Okay.
classes on Nebraska Enterprise Fund. There's classes on MOWBC. So
Mm-hmm.
look at both websites
Okay.
because there's different classes on both, and you may see some of the same ones, and you could sign up. The registration links are usually out there with the workshops.
I will definitely sign up for that class.
Yes,
I need this.
you
So
need some
if you are an
brainstorming.
entrepreneur out there, we all need this. You need to invest in yourself, and
Yes,
especially those classes are free, so we are
yeah.
not even spending a dime.
No,
And
just your
so
time, and it should
yeah,
be worth
just your
that.
time.
Yeah.
And this is very good information. Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to say is that,
Yes.
and I just want to say this is key because a lot of times we don't really record and keep track of our financials. This
Mm,
is really, really important. And so you'll see we have a lot of financial things going on, a lot of workshops on financials
yeah.
because it's just so important to understand what goes in, what comes out, understanding your financial forms, your income, your balance sheet. All this is really important when you own a business. And unfortunately, what we found out during this pandemic is that a lot of individuals did not know or either understand their financials. So
That's true.
I just want to make sure that people are understanding that these classes are free. And also, if you're running your business and you're doing it, on paper, as they say, there is some really inexpensive software like QuickBooks, and we have that training. We have a 2-day training and a 1-day training of QuickBooks that can really, really help you get set. So if you look on the website, we'll be launching a couple more things that it's going to help some business owners that may not have taken advantage of the EIDL and the PPP. So we're looking at doing some education and granting. So just keep looking at the website. You'll see some announcements coming out pretty
Yes.
soon. That'll
Yes.
really help.
I will definitely. And I am actually putting down this on the hold on, so that
Yes.
people can see it. Go to Nebraska Enterprise Funds
Yeah.
if
So
they want to sign up for those classes.
yeah. So the website is of course www, but it's nebbiz.org.
There
And
you
then MOWBC is MOWB like boy, C like Charlie, F like Frank, .org. So MOWBCF.org. And go to both of those, and there are free classes 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah,
So,
personally, I will definitely check it out.
okay.
I will. But Miss Missy, so I have an event here. I'm planning an
Okay.
event on November 1st,
Okay.
here in Omaha. So Miss BC will be one of the guest speaker. You can already tell viewers how knowledgeable she is and how passionate she is about entrepreneurship, about women, about business. And all this. So she will be with us on November 1st in Omaha. I will have the flyer on my I will post the flyer on my business on my Facebook business page. But Miss BC, can you encourage those Christian entrepreneurs to come to the event?
Yes, yes, I'd be more than happy. Yes, absolutely. Because the more that we can find out, I mean, if you're in a place where we can ask questions and get that
Mhm.
knowledge that you need, I mean, don't be afraid to come and get the knowledge because that's what's going to make you successful. The more you know, the more you grow. And you have
Yes,
to remember that. Don't Fear is nothing but a smokescreen. So remember,
yes,
we want to face everything and rise. We're not trying to run
yes.
anywhere. Okay, so you
Yep.
need to come to that, and yes, we'll promote it and continue to promote it. I think it's a great thing that we're doing.
Thank you. And then we'll see if we can also make it virtual where people can, even if you're not
Can
in Omaha
access
but
it.
you want to participate, we can also, we're working on it. We're working on it because we still need to maintain social distancing,
Right.
even in a closed room. So we are
Hmm.
working on it.
That's good.
We will give more details, as we go.
Later.
But
Yeah.
Miss BC, thank you so, so much for your
Oh, it's
time.
my pleasure.
Anything else that you want to say tonight that I may have forgotten there? I mean, anything.
Well, I
Any
think.
words of encouragement to those Christian entrepreneurs, those women, those Black women in business, women
Mhm.
in general, not only Black, but in general, there
Yes, just
are really,
women.
yes, just women,
I think
just
it's so
women.
important. I think it's so
Mhm.
important for us to believe in ourselves. You know, there's so many movements out there, the Me Too, the this, the that, the other. But you know what? When you don't believe in yourself, then that is the thing that we need to focus on. Number
Yes,
one, we need to understand who we are. Once you find out who you are, that confidence rises up within you and you're
mhm.
able to move and do the things you need to do. So don't let anyone hinder you from finding out who you are and you
Yes,
being able to walk in that confidence because you're great, you're amazing. I'm telling you, if we can take care of kids and a house and a husband and all this kind of stuff, we can do anything.
yes.
So don't sell yourself short and just know that you are more than you believe you are. So start walking in the faith and believing who he told you were in his name.
Amen. I say amen to that. Thank you again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. And entrepreneurs, until we meet next time, stay strong. Believe in yourself. In the words of Miss Missy Clark, have a good night.